Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Alia Batrisha bint Muhammad Asri, and I will explain to you my tutorial 1 for EMS 519 about the public revenue. The first one is about definition of the public revenue. The definition is income or funds received by the government from various sources to finance its activities and meet public expenditure. And public revenue grows in government operation is financing public service. It provides funds to run essential services such as healthcare, which is hospital or clinic, education, which is university, school, defense, and infrastructure that provided by the government. The next one is public welfare and social security. Public revenue will fund welfare activities such as pension, unemployment benefits, and subsidies such as oil subsidies, petrol subsidies that can support citizens in needs. And lastly is economic development. The government will invest in development projects that will promote economic growth of the country, like transportation, industry, and technology. The next is about the four main sources of the public revenue. They are tax revenue, which is money collected by the government from individuals or business corporate through various forms of tax, example, income tax and sales tax. The next one is non-tax revenue, which is income earned by the government from the sources other than tax. It usually comes from fees, fines, profit from government-owned enterprise, example, license for driving and dividends. The third one is grants and aids received from foreign government or international organizations is to support the development project or during emergencies. For example, foreign aid. Foreign aid is from organizations like the World Bank or United Nations for infrastructure development. And lastly is borrowing or public debt. It is money borrowed by government from internal or external sources to finance deficits or major projects such as government bonds. Government bonds is bonds raised from the public or financial institutions that the government promised to repay with interest. The third question is about different tax revenue and non-tax revenue. What is tax revenue? Tax revenue is revenues collected through compulsory levies imposed by law, which is direct or indirect tax. So for example, on Malaysia budget, the new Malaysia budget, which is indirect tax such as SST, which is sales and service tax, contribute a large portion of indirect tax revenue. 59.6 billion ringgit in 2026. For non-tax revenue, which is revenue earned by the government, sources other than tax, which is fees, charge, fines. So for example, in Malaysia budget, dividend from Petronas Malaysia's national oil company contribute to a decline non-tax revenue. So, which type is more significant in Malaysia? So the answer is direct tax. If direct tax are more significant in terms of total revenue contribution, Malaysia's economy relies heavily on income-based taxation, especially from corporate profits and high-income earners. Corporate tax, income tax tends to be more stable, easier to forecast because based on economic activity, which is regular. But non-tax is more likely from dividends, profit, which will fluctuate depending on the price, such as on price, company performance. Let's move on to the two ways to increase public revenue for the healthcare services. So the first one is which is increasing tax revenue. The government can raise the existing tax, for example, income tax or corporate tax, or introduce the new tax, such as a healthy levy or higher excise duties on tobacco and alcohol. So this can promote more healthy behavior if applied to unhealthy goods such as alcohol, tobacco, cigarettes, and so on. The next one is issuing government bonds. The government can borrow funds from domestic or foreign investors through Malaysia Government Securities, MGS or Suku Islamic bond to finance healthcare projects. It provides immediate funds for expanding hospitals, hiring medical staff, improving healthcare access. By raising the existing tax rate, it can provide a steady and predictable source of revenue. For the government bond, can stimulate the economic growth in the short term through the higher government spending. And also in Malaysia's budget, for example, the security rate, the World Health Organization and Framework Convention on Tobacco Control is part of effort to reduce the consumption of smoking products for the well-being of the rakyat, of the citizen. The federal proposed excise duty rate on cigarettes starting with a rise of 2 cents per stick or 40 cents per packet. For example, individual income tax relies up for 1,000 is provided for vaccination expense for self or family. For example, cover influenza, rotavirus, and many more diseases is to support the national health system to prevent this disease over treatment and promote vaccination as a key of preventive. Malaysia Federal proposed excise duty rate on alcoholic beverage increase up to 10% to reduce access to the alcoholic beverage and promote healthier lifestyle. For example, beer will be 175 ringgit per liter. Lastly is about challenge government fees in managing public revenue. The first one is tax evasion and avoidance. There are so many organizations or individuals they avoid to pay the tax. This can lead to reducing funds for public revenue, which is public services such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Which is, if tax is not paid, so there is no public revenue to gain. How can government improve the public service, improve the infrastructure for the public use without the tax paid? And it also create unfairness for the organization or individuals that paid the tax. The next one is administrative inefficiency and corruption. Weak tax administration system, outdated technology, or lack of skill of staff can reduce efficiency in revenue collection. Corruption and misuse of collected funds also undermines the transparency and accountability. The Inland Revenue Board, which is LHDN, has introduced e-invoicing 2025 to combat under-reporting and improve their service compliance to the customary, showing that these two challenges remain a real challenge to the Inland Revenue Board to collect the tax. That's all from me. Thank you.